average function.
This meeting is being recorded.
Like count function, even in the case of average, we have more than one function is available, but not like the count function. Here we have three functions are available as part of average. You have something called average function and average A and average X function. Okay, the average, it returns the average. If you use the average function, what will happen? It will add all the values and divided by in the denominator is sample number of samples. For example, you have 1, 2, 3. It will add all the values 1 plus 2 plus 3 divided by 3. How many number of data points, right? Total number of data points. So that is what your average. In the case of average, okay, so this is the example, average of sales amount. It gives you the average. That's it. Okay. And so now the question is, does this average function take into account of the blank values? Okay. And if you use an average function, what will happen? The average function does not support the logical value and the text value. Which one? The average function. Okay. And then logical value and text value, it will not support. And cells with the 0 value will be included. And if the data type is integer, numeric, decimal, average skip the null value. So this is the decimal number. Even in the case of integer column, if it has any blank value, it will simply skip it. That's all. Like count function, average function also ignores the blank value, and it doesn't work with the Boolean data type. Okay, and then text also it will not work. Obviously, if you it doesn't make any sense. If a customer column, customer name column, if you perform average, does it make sense? No, right? It will not work. It simply finds out an average. It returns the average of all the numbers in a column. It takes a column as an argument and finds the average. Does not support logical value and text value. Cells with 0 values are excluded or included, and it works only with the integer and decimal data type, and it simply ignores the null value. The next one is the average function, average X. So this function ends with X. So what is this function? The function which ends with X is your iterating function. Okay, and the average X function, it enables us to evaluate an expression for each row of a table. Remember that the iterating function, the name iterating, what it says is row by row, it goes and evaluate an expression. Okay, and then take the result set of the values and calculate the arithmetic mean. In statistics, we use the term mean for average. In statistical language, if somebody says mean, that means that doesn't, so that is nothing but average. So even in the case of averages, you cannot include non-numeric or text or null values. It simply ignores them. Okay. In the case of non-numeric values, it will throw an error. Okay. Like average function. Okay. And the next one is the average AX. I did not mention it. And average average A and average X. And yeah, only these three functions are available. Average A works with all data type. Yes, this is a little bit different. Average A works with okay, and even in this case, right, average A, it does not support logical values or text values. Sorry, it support logical values. Okay, this is something wrong here. That's what I was. It does support logical values. Okay, so how it supports logical values? It considers the true as 1 and false as 0. False as 0 here. Okay, and values that contains the non-numeric or text will be counted as 0. If you have text value, the text value will also be considered, and it will be considered 0. If you have text value, it will be considered as counted as 0. Okay. And if you have empty text, something like that. Okay. Double quote. If you have empty text, it counts as 0 here. Okay. And in this case also, right, it skips the null value. It works with all these data types, including the logical and text data type. Logical values, it takes the average by considering 1 or 0, something like that. Okay. The average X works with this. And I will just go and give you the demo in the Power BI report file so that we can understand the difference between average A and average X. Okay, here, unfortunately, I don't have the average function. What I will do is I will just simply go and search. I have another file there. I mentioned it, the count. Okay, or else we will use the average here itself. No, I used it somewhere here, right? 1 second, let me just show you. Yeah, this is the one. I used it here. So in this case, I have used, all these three functions, average and average A and average X function. The moment when I selected this table on the right side, you can see that these three measures got tick mark along with this. So with this, we can easily find out what are the measures that we use, what are the column that we use it in this table, right? Because it highlights it by giving the tick mark for this one. And here average, if I click on this measure, in this case, instead of using the card visual, I have used the table here. The average function units sold. We have this is the data set. Look here, the 1 second, let me loan units sold. If I take the average, what you will get it here. So if you see that 22 is 10 here, and Baron, what happens in the case of Baron? 10 plus 12 is 22 divided by 2, 11. It ignores the blank value. Okay. For Baron, it gives me the average, and Chris also, it gives me 0. For each and everything, right? Customer name, it does the group by, and it does this one. Larry is 15 because only one value is there for Larry. And Baron, since we have 3 records are available, it ignores the blank value. It takes the average of the rest of the values. 10 plus 12 is 22 divided by 2, 11. The average, this is how the average works. And the next one is the average. Let me do one thing. Average A measure, right? So the next one is average A measure to active Boolean data type. Look here, in this case, what happens is the true false. Here, Baron, if you see here, Baron, we have 2 true. And 1 here in this case, 1 plus 1 is 2 divided by 2 is 1. It considers trues as 1 and false as 0. Since Baron, in the case of Baron, we have 3 records, but of the 3, 1 record have the blank value in it in this active column, and the rest of the values are true. So while the true has consists 1, 1 plus 1 is 2 divided by 2 is 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Okay, it is doing perfect job. In the case of Larry, you can see that true is in this case, true is 1. Hence, it gives me 1 divided by 1 is 1. Next one is the average X function. In this case, I've used the filter function. Don't do the average for all the records. You take the average only for those records wherein we sold more than 6 units. You do the average. In that case, average X, if you see here 10, this is the quantity is 10 already. So only one record is a 10. But in the case of Baron, it gives me 11. So why it gives me 11? Yes, it is units sold is greater than 6. These two values. 10 plus 12 is 22 divided by 2 is 11. And Chris is blank, it gives me 0, and rest of them 15. Larry is only one value is there, 15. It doesn't have to take, but again 15 is great, but 0 is simply disregarded. Look here, the Chris, it is not giving anything here because we've excluded Chris because the unit sold was not greater than 6 for Chris. Hope you understood all these average family of functions. The average function, as I said, it works with only the integer, decimal, numeric columns. It doesn't work with text and logical columns, logical data type columns. Whereas the average x function also, it doesn't works with the logical Boolean and text values. The average x function iterates row by row by evaluating an expression. The average a function works with all the data type. It supports the logical values, numeric values. In the case of logical values, it considers the true as 1, the false as 0, and the text values, it considers them as 0. Okay, and in case of any blank values, in the case of average, even that one ignores the blank values. Okay, and the empty string, it considers as a 0. You need to remember this. That's all. So that is the difference between these three functions.